For those who've been following my channel for a long time, you know that I'm a huge fan of the Transformers, and when they got added to Fortnite, you know that I was incredibly excited. However, I've been hearing rumors that Fortnite is thinking about adding a train for Chapter 5, and let me tell you right now, as much as I love Transformers, nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to my love that I have for trains. Stop the music. I don't think you heard me, okay? Listen, I have an entire store shelf in my room dedicated to unopened Transformers figures, but my train collection has an industrial grade shelf with sliding glass doors. They don't compare. They are not the same. So as the Fortnite community's foremost train expert, I thought if we're going to be getting a train in Chapter 5, why don't I give a few suggestions on how to do it the right way? What makes me the Fortnite community's foremost train expert? Really? So for this video, I've put together the perfect consist. Consist is a word that railroaders use to describe the configuration of the freight cars, passenger cars, and locomotives that comprise the entire train. Now, the one I thought up for this video is designed for optimal gameplay. This would be the most fun consist we could use for a game like Fortnite, and it all starts at the end of the train with the caboose. Now, a lot of you guys may be asking, why a caboose? And to that I say, you're an idiot. You have to have a caboose. This is a train, of course. But all jokes aside, the real reason is because a caboose provides two different layers of gameplay. When you look at the design of the caboose, there's two different options for positioning. One would be to run along the top of the train, or you could run through it. So maybe inside of the caboose, we could have med kits, ammo, different weapons available. Or if you don't want to run on the inside of the train and want to get to the next car, you would just run along the top. Or if there's enemies already inside the caboose, you can stay on top and wait for them to exit on either side. Now, as fun as the caboose is, we need to implement a little bit more risk into this train. That's where this next freight car comes in, which is a standard flatbed. This is very simple. It's a very open-ended car. Of course, you'd have a bunch of chests or items or weapons along here, something to easily bait all the players. You're exposed here. There's not really much you can do on here other than jump off or run to the next car if you get exposed by an enemy team. But this would make gameplay on the train a lot more exciting, and it's in direct contrast to the last car we had, which gave us a covered option. Now, because we've introduced one of the most risky cars into the train, we need to give a little bit of a reward, and that's where this next one comes in. This is a tank car. Now, in real life, the purpose of these is to store liquids, and they could be anything from gasoline to even milk. But for our Fortnite train, this should be a slurp barrel or maybe a slap container. And I'm thinking you could execute this a couple of ways. One thing that I think would be really interesting is if the tank car had some kind of holes on it, so as the train is swaying and you feel the momentum of the train underneath you, you've got the slurp juice actually spraying out of the top of the car and it's revitalizing player health. Or they could pop this cap here in the middle off, and maybe you could either drink from it or dive right in. Either way, a tank car would be the perfect way to utilize slurp juice or slap juice, giving players a little bit of reward for risking their lives from being exposed to the elements. Next up, we have a freight car that's a little tricky because although it has a covered option, there's not easy direct access to it while the train is moving. That, of course, is the box car. Now, notice something here. There's no doors on the front, so if you're coming from the tank car, let's say, to the box car, you'd have to jump on the top. Now, there can be loot on the inside if we open the door, but the only way to access that would be to jump down into the car, potentially while the train is moving. You could give players the option to actually close the boxcar door. That way, it gives you the ability to ambush other players if they're trying to run up on your train. If a train is stopped or starting to gain momentum, you could have players try to run up alongside and jump into the boxcar. Or, and I hope you're sitting down for this one because this is really cool, imagine being on a motorcycle or a car and you and your friends running up next to the train and jumping from the car onto the boxcar while the train is in motion. And of course, we would throw loot in here as well. But remember, if you want to get from inside the boxcar to the top or vice versa, there's going to be a bit of risk involved. You risk falling off the train. A boxcar offers another layer of dynamic gameplay, but not as much as this next one, which is what I think most people associate when they think of train fights. The last car in our consist is actually going to be everyone's favorite, which is the passenger car. Now, here's why this one's special. Although it's similar to the caboose in the sense that it's a covered car, passenger cars typically have more room in them. Cabooses specifically were more narrow. They were only designed to hold a small crew in the back, but passenger cars are designed to hold lots of people. And look, there's tons of different designs of passenger cars that you can use, but imagine you and your friends running through a train with an enemy team on there, and you're ducking behind tables and chairs in the middle of a gunfight on a moving train. On top of that, you still have the added bonus of being able to jump onto the roof and have gunfights on top of there as well. You can also shoot enemy players out of the windows. There's just tons of options to make this so much fun for Fortnite. Now, with all that being said, nothing, and I mean nothing that we've talked about so far is as important as this last piece, because what's driving the train is what's the most important. This is what adds all the character, all the flavor. And if you're gonna do it, it can only be one type of train. Yeah, it's gotta be a steam engine. Now look, I could talk about steam locomotives for hours. There's thousands of different engines out there. However, for the sake of this train, we need to keep it really simple. For our train today, I picked an 060 switcher, something small, nothing too crazy, nothing too fast, not too flashy, but god dang, does it freaking look cool, man. Now listen, I'm gonna be totally honest. It's not essential for the train in Fortnite to be exactly this specific locomotive. However, what I would really like to emphasize is that the locomotive powering this train should be a steam engine and not a diesel. When Call of Duty added their train, I was disappointed. It was a bland fusion of a steam locomotive and a diesel locomotive, and it just didn't have any character whatsoever. The reason why we want to use a steam locomotive is because it's visually and aesthetically the most appealing. Why is that? Because all the moving parts are on the outside. There's something about them that's very captivating. They sound like really large animals or machines that could actually be alive. They make tons of weird hissing sounds. They sound like they're breathing, and nothing compares to the sound of the whistle. A diesel horn is just not going to give you that. So I propose that if Fortnite's going to give us a steam locomotive, give us the ability to also drive it, or at the very least, be able to blow the whistle in the cab. Now, at this point in the video, I'm curious about a couple of things that I want your perspective on. Number one, have you liked the video and already subscribed to the channel? Because if you haven't, what the heck are you doing? Where else are you gonna get quality content like this? No one else could go this in-depth with train stuff in Fortnite, come on. But secondly, and most important, for all my normies out there that have no knowledge of trains prior to this, or have very limited knowledge, how do you feel about this configuration of cars? And is there something that I may have missed that you think should be added into it? Also, do you have any cool ideas or concepts that we could use potentially for the train in Fortnite? Now, outside of the really dynamic gameplay, what other cool stuff could we see as a result of a train being in Fortnite? Could we potentially see a Thomas the Tank Engine collab within Fortnite Battle Royale? Probably not. I doubt that that'll ever happen. However, it would be quite hilarious if they did do it. Just running around the Fortnite island at Sir Topham Hatt, cranking 90s would be the most insane thing ever. But who knows? We've had a lot of other crazy collabs in the past. Let's let Fortnite cook and we'll see what they do. Adding a train to Fortnite would add so many layers to the gameplay, especially if they gave us different stops where the train could go at different parts of the map. People could hear the train coming or hear the train in the distance as they're on the Fortnite island. Epic. If you have not already added a train to Fortnite, please take this video into consideration for some ideas that you might be able to use. And absolutely above all things, if you take only one thing from this video, make the locomotive a steam engine. I don't want to see any of this diesel nonsense. We don't want that in here. Be better than Call of Duty. The potential of a train really has me excited for Chapter 5, and I hope you are too. But if you're not, why don't you check out my last video, and that should get you hopefully excited for the next Fortnite season.